I got a call from my manager saying that you have received an offer to shoot a film in Santa Fe, to play a military captain who oversaw a notorious prison in Iraq, Abu Ghraib, and the time that the U.S. military spent there and what went on there. And I just thought that that would be a new adventure and a new character to add to the resume, and I accepted the role. We were shooting outside of Santa Fe in the old main prison facility, which has now obviously been closed down for many years. It was considered to be a level 6 supermax facility with a gas chamber and a death row. If you were going to pick a location to recreate something as horrible as what went on for 30 years during Saddam Hussein's rule in Iraq of that prison, you draw the conclusion that it was an appropriate place to shoot that film. Flew into Albuquerque. I landed at about midnight. The producer came to pick me up. We were driving to Santa Fe, which is about an hour. The crew hadn't gotten there, no trucks were there yet. I was the first actor. On the way, he said, I've been out here scouting this location, and would you like to go see the prison where we're shooting? It's Old Main Prison in Santa Fe. I said, sure, because I thought that it would help inform me as an artist, as an actor. We pulled up to the main entrance, and it kind of, through the headlights, it kind of looked like all brick and bars. We see the barbed wire fence. And the main entryway looked like the entryway of any normal building. It was sort of steel and glass with a lock. And when we got inside the lobby, to the right and to the left, there were giant hallways with gates. We proceeded down the hallway, and the producer said, would you like to take a little tour of death row and the gas chamber? And I said, why the hell not? We had one flashlight between the two of us and 2 cell phones emitting light. We went through down the long corridor in order to get to death row. And when we finally got there, I flashed my light down on the floor, and I saw marks in the concrete. There were about 10 of them, and they just looked like they were like hacking marks from a heavy object. And then we went to the other side, and we walked through death row. And it was just like this endless series of bars and gates that we had to pass through in order to get to the gas chamber. We walked down the hallway, and I saw a blackened spot in the concrete, that it was forever blackened spot. He said, if you want to see the gas chamber, you know, we're going to have to go down into the basement. There's no light down there, so you really have to stick with me. And I said, yeah, no problem. There was a darkened entryway. We went down one flight of stairs, took a left, went down another flight of stairs. It was very dirty and very dusty and very, very, very quiet. And all I could hear was my own breathing and his breathing. When we got off the 3rd flight of stairs, he turned around and said, this is the back entrance to the gas chamber. This is where the gallery views the execution. So we walked into that room. We could see some light, and it was like an orange glow, a faint orange glow. And there was a candle burning in the corner, an old, red, smallish candle. The look on his face was terror. And I said, did you? He said, no. He said, do you really want to continue? And I said, as long as we're here, let's just continue. We left that area. We saw the back of the gas chamber. It was this sort of a glass and steel structure. It almost looked like an old submarine upended. And you could see the chair inside. We went into the front entrance of the gas chamber, and it had a door like you see on a ship, where it has a wheel, a steel wheel that you turn, and then it opens up. Very, very heavy door. So then as I entered the gas chamber and turned around and sat down in the chair, I was shaking a little bit. I was a little bit sweaty, and I heard a knock. There were 3 knocks. Sounded like they were coming from below, like somebody was underneath the prison, and there were no levels below the basement. And I looked at him. I noticed that he was fixated on the viewing area behind me. And then I turned around. In the viewing area, we saw black shapes sitting in chairs. We ran so fast. We bound up one set of stairs. We bound up the second set of stairs. And we look up at the top of the stairs. There's the silhouette. And we froze, and we turned our flashlights off, and we just stared at it. It seemed to have a straight body with wings sort of coming out. It's the only way I can describe it. It didn't look like a human being. It had an energy coming out of it that was foreboding. It was pretty much filling the space. And it started to spread its wings. And we were scared out of our minds, and there just seemed to be this noise. This cacophony of voices and yelling and screaming, and we covered our ears. And then we looked up, and it started flying at us with this sort of prehistoric kind of guttural scream. And it came right at us. And we got down and covered ourselves and started screaming. And we felt it whoosh over us. We actually felt the wind over us. We got to the top of those stairs so fast. We hit the hallway. We ran. And when we got outside, our hearts were racing. We were sweating. We just got in the car, took off. When we got to the set the next day, the sound guy had been down in the gas chamber, and they had found a cell phone. They returned my cell phone. You went down into the death chamber at night? Don't you know the history of this prison? This was the scene in 1980 of one of the most violent and bloody prison riots in American history. 1,200 inmates overpowered 25 guards, took them hostage, and fought each other. They dragged one prisoner out of a cell in death row and executed him in the spot where those marks were, in the concrete. And they did it with an axe. The black spot outside of one of the death row cells was the mark of a human body that had been blowtorched. The killing that was going on and the absolute mayhem that was going on, now it makes sense to me why we heard these noises down in the death chamber. You know, maybe we entered a place that is not for the living to even visit. That's a stark, cold, dead place. If there is hell on earth, I think that was it. Most frightening moment of my life. And it's an experience I'll never forget.